The Three Sides to a Story is a pop culture podcast provided as a public service, but is neither a legal interpretation nor a statement of policy. Reference to any specific product or entity does not constitute an endorsement or recommendation by Three Sides to a Story or the hosts. The views expressed by guests are their own, and their appearance on the podcast does not imply an endorsement of them or any entity they represent. Views and opinions expressed on Three Sides to a Story are those of the hosts and do not necessarily reflect the view of any entities they represent or any of its officials. If you have any questions about this disclaimer, please contact 502-696-5300 and ask Daniel Cameron why he didn't arrest the cops who killed Breonna Taylor.
Yo, you are now rocking with Three Sides to the Story, the pop culture podcast for the people. They say there's three sides to a story, one side, the other side of what it really is. Each episode will tackle topics from three perspectives, try to get to the truth. It's your boy Tony B with the homies Rex Cruz and Aubrey. Follow us on Instagram at Three Sides to a Story, on Twitter at Three Sides Pod, on Facebook at Three Sides Podcast. Subscribe, tune in, and turn us up on all your podcast platforms.
You're not rocking with the best.
Yo. So, how was everybody's little quarantine Thanksgiving?
Quarantine. Like, everything worked out, G. You know, so far. It was a week ago. Yeah. No, everything was good. You know, kept it real simple. Just the key points. You know, followed in on, good thing we had Beto on the line the week before. Followed in on a couple of the little recipes, so things kind of panned out.
Yeah,
it was all right, man. Niggas was chilling, man, just relaxing and, you know, eating what was available that we could make. But it was good, man.
You had stuffing or dressing?
Oh,
that's a question. That's a question.
Cone bread dressing. I still got some. I know it's a week later, but I'm gonna eat some when I get to the crib, though, too. Straight up.
Yeah. Facts.
Damn, you didn't even drop any off like you said you would, though. That's cool, though, man. That's cool.
No, that's all.
That's cool.
So what's
cool.
been popping? What's been popping with y'all, man?
I mean, well, speaking of food and restaurants and shit, like, I mean, there's been some of that shit popping off in the on the social media internets lately. Y'all see that shit in Dallas?
What, the Boosie? Which one?
Nah, in Dallas there was this restaurant, right, where
yeah, my bad. I was looking down at something else. Yeah, go ahead.
Right. So there was this like little incident where there was a brunch popping off, and some lady started twerking, and people started standing on chairs, and were kind of turning up, and the staff apparently was telling them to like chill, and then the owner had to like intervene and was like, "Yo, stop that shit." And then the owner, like on tape, like on camera, like they were recording them and shit, said, "Get the fuck out of here if you want to do that shit."
Yeah, please.
You saw that, and so like it's a black owned business, right? And the owner said in the video he said he opened this restaurant so black people would have a nice place to go, right? And so he was like, I don't need y'all standing on the furniture and all this shit. Like, you know, we invest some money in here and shit like that. So, like, in his defense, I guess, like, you know, he's telling people, like, you know, stop standing on couches, whatever. And like, you got to figure out also, like, you a restaurant owner, a business owner, whatever, you liable for any injuries if these ladies happen to fall off
the table and fuck themselves up and all that.
Yeah. So I mean, maybe he might could have handled it a little bit better without telling them.
Man, get off the man's shit. I'm not mad at him all the way though.
Nah.
I ain't mad at him at all.
That's that dual personality we got to always deal with, right? Like, motherfuckers want to see somebody twerking, but you also gonna respect my business too, you know.
Well, I think that's like the thing people are not looking at when they were like getting mad that this owner did this, right? Like, as an owner of an establishment, as an owner of a business, you reserve the right to dictate what goes on in your establishment, right? So like, you create the ambiance, you create the environment, you set the ground rules, all that shit, right? So like, if he's not trying, if this isn't a spot that he's trying to make a turn up brunch spot, and then people are trying to turn it into that, hell yeah, he reserves the right to say, "Get the fuck out of here," because like you ain't doing that. That's not the scene.
It ain't the club. It ain't the vibe. That ain't what he wanted. It's shit.
Yeah, like to say like like
Why do women twerk everywhere anyway? Like a lot of women twerk just anywhere. It don't even matter where they be. They be on a boat. They be at the bar. They be at the office.
everywhere.
They just be twerking. B. Yeah, I don't understand like what the whole thing is. Like I don't know what it. What's the
Well,
equivalence to twerking for men?
th-
I was
I
I was
mean,
gonna say something, but it'd be probably sound disrespectful. So I don't know if I. To me, I
say
don't
it,
know.
right?
I'll wait. It's
Say,
like the equivalent of like a male dog pissing everywhere he walks. Just want to mark your territory and just be like, yo, I'm gonna let you see that I'm here.
wow. Okay, that's an interesting and I think a very accurate uh,
I mean, because
comparison.
that's essentially kind of, and again, I don't know if I can even come back out of it now and say that was meant not in a bad way. It's not meant in a bad way, but I was just thinking of like what, like you said, what's a parallel of it, you know?
Yeah, and I
Because
don't
it's
know what
like
it.
when, go ahead, no, go ahead.
No, I don't know what it is. So, like, I think the way you just explained it might that actually might could be the best way to equate the two. Like, I mean, because like I got homies like that went to college in Atlanta. You know what I'm saying? And so went to college in the South, like Dallas and Houston. So like I think they've seen this happening like so much, especially like I think like it probably like this turn up brunch situation probably even originated in the South, right? Like you think of like
Right.
grits and biscuits and all that, So like I think like even I think they like some of them that live up in the shine now, I think like they are getting jaded with it. They're saying like, yo, I don't need you twerking at the like at the food line. You know what I'm saying? Like
Well, like
sit
a time
down,
and
like
place, right?
yeah, yeah. So I mean, I guess that's kind of the question is like, people have been debating on this on social media like all week since this happened. Like, does twerking and turning up belong at a brunch, or are we doing too much? Like, I mean, personally, I don't mind either. I could turn up at brunch. I could sit down and chill and eat and just drink and talk or whatever. But I think it just depends on the type of brunch vibe you're looking for, right? So you just pick and choose accordingly. But like we were all saying, you can't be mad at this owner if that's not the type of vibe you're trying to create in a spot that he owns.
No.
I think I might start doing dick slaps on my thighs at random places too. You know what I mean? Nigga do the wiggle in the middle of the goddamn buffet.
I mean, because it really doesn't make any sense. You know, I mean, I get it if you're in the party and the club and all that shit, but it's like you're just walking in, all the shit's lit, and you always want to pop and wop, you know?
Yeah.
Man, you know what though, and like I mean, you're right. Like I think it's overdone, it's redundant, but at the same time, like I'm not necessarily mad. Like if it's a woman that has the assets to actually properly twerk, versus like I think now it's become like it's just become so acceptable for women to do this that even like the little booty chicks are twerking, and I'm like.
The lack of.
You know what I'm saying? Like, I mean, I'm like, what are you shaking? Like, and
Sliding
why?
up and
You know
down
what
on
I'm
your back.
saying? Yeah, So like, I think you're right. Guys need to chill. Yeah.
It's almost at, what is it? The third, you got about, what, 3 more weeks till NBA pops off?
Yeah, it's coming back on the 22nd. So right around the
Yep.
corner. Right around the corner. And so you saw we got all three of the Ball brothers are in the league now officially.
Right.
We saw Melo got drafted by the Hornets, and now Jello got picked up
Jello
by
just got a quick contract. What was it, the Pistons or somebody?
Pistons. Yeah. So all three Ball brothers in the NBA at the same damn time. I mean, and LeVar Ball, who a lot of people clown, myself included, just because of the way he approached it. He called this for his son. So, a lot of people, again, myself included, we got to eat our words about it. I mean, and I don't think it was necessarily questioning the kid's talent. It was more questioning the way he was approaching it. But now, looking back in hindsight, damn, I mean,
He
he was
told you.
talking. Yeah, he was talking tough, right? But he
He
was saying the
delivered.
truth. Yeah, he delivered. You're right. Speak on that, Rex.
No, I mean, the man said what he was going to do. And, I mean, I guess at times, whatever. But I never personally was just like, yo, shut the fuck up and no shit. But it's just like, there's got to be some level of truth behind it. I mean, the man, I don't want to say preach it, but he spoke it into existence. Obviously, he's been working with him. You know what I mean? He's definitely been working with him. And the kid's obviously been putting in the work to bring it there. But the man, I mean, if you really listen to what he said before that he had an opportunity to play in the league. I mean, he's just like not in basketball and football, right? So with that being said, with what he was saying, it came off like he was just like a natural athlete. And when I forget what team he got offered a contract, and he got a contract like he might have went to college and basically came in the league, and he was like the homie off the street that basically was playing football. And he was like, "Yo, the first year I didn't even know like the calls, the terminologies, and the this and the that's." You know what I mean? And then he was just like, "Oh, fuck this shit." Afterwards, he's like, "I'm good. I got my money and I'm out." You know what I mean? He basically took that money and invested. He bet on himself. He bet which in terms bet on his kids and put it right back into them. Because he was like, I could have played in the football league for a couple years. Maybe something happened, maybe not. But he was like, shit, I got that money and got my ass out of here.
And took it and invested it the right way. I mean,
yeah.
And I think, to that point, that was like you said, that was a tough decision, right? Like as somebody that wants to play pro sports, but you're thinking about like what that look like, versus what the long haul is with that money, right? The long play, right? So and he looked at the long play. It seems like, right? Like,
Yep.
So maybe everybody had homie wrong this whole time. I mean, maybe this is just a smart dude who's a dad that just really believes in his kids, and was saying like, like you said, like we gonna make our own bread. We don't need Nike. We don't need this. We don't need that. And maybe he just knew how talented these kids were, and knew how invested he was in their drive, that he wanted to just control that destiny. Like
He knew he saw something in him.
Yeah, I think Homeboy believed in himself before he believed in anybody. Like he believed in his kids, but he believed in what he could do. That's the magic right there. It wasn't about his kids, man. He believed that he could make his kids amazing. You know what I mean?
I could put them in a position where I know they should be able to
they're just
succeed
gonna
with
try.
this.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that makes sense. Yeah,
And then he, not something like that, he took him out of college, he put him overseas. I mean, he did what he wanted to do and he got them where they should be, right? He did it his own way, which I guess that was, and some of the, it doesn't matter, but some of the sports reporters were like, yo, even though he's just running around, he's actually saying shit. He's doing shit. I mean, this is before in the middle, like at the beginning of the hype,
Yeah, I want to see what the middle boy do. I know he just got picked up by Detroit.
Yeah.
So I want to see what he do, man. He got a lot to prove. That boy might come out and do something we ain't expecting either.
Facts. Facts. That'll be good. Let's get bread. I wonder how LeVar, the dad ball, and Jordan are going to go together. How is that? I'm sure there'll be a lot of eyes on that, but we'll see. I mean, Mike's been around, so Mike knows when to, kind of what to do in a sense. And I mean, we'll see.
Hey man, y'all go check Bleacher Report right now on Instagram, man. They got an animated joint on NBA 2K with LeVar playing Jordan. Yo, this is ridiculous.
See what I'm saying?
Go to Bleacher Report.
I was just about to say that's what he's going to ask for, a one-on-one joint with Jordan.
This look ridiculous, man. They got LeVar all over the place.
Yo, that shit look just like him. And it looked just like Mike. That's crazy.
Mike bouncing.
They got Zoe as the coach. Like, that's crazy.
Yeah, it's nuts, man.
Where's this on Bleacher Report basketball or where?
On their Instagram.
Just regular Bleacher Report. Came out 6 hours ago. This shit.
Oh yeah. I see that. I see it. BB, you got the BBB gear on.
That is hilarious. Yeah, that's crazy, man.
LeVar, that's crazy. They got all the kids in there. One is the referee, one is the coach.
All them joints in there. Mike is going between the legs.
Dunked on LeVar.
He hit him with them like Clyde Drexler finger rolls out here.
Right. This is hilarious.
Yeah. So we'll see, man. I mean, at the end of the day, I think though we got to give props to this man. I mean, like you said, even he believed in what he was doing, and he said they was all going to be there, and they all there now. So I'm actually kind of excited to see what uh, Mello Jello do this year, man. You know, I mean, that's exciting for them, man. That's dope for as a family, as a father, see all three of your sons in the league at the same damn time. That's
Yeah, that's dope, man. That's a huge accomplishment, man. Salute to that brother.
yeah, man. Yeah. So, yo, man, switching gears real quick, man. The Grammys released their best rap album nominees. I think last week or the week before, or something like that, and it was kind of refreshingly a solid list of nominees. It was a solid list. Not uh, your mainstream pop rap shit. It was like some real hip hop shit. It was Freddie Gibbs and Alchemist. It was Royce. It was D Smoke. It was the Nas album. Man, I can't remember what the other joints were, but I mean, it was rap, like
Yeah.
yeah.
I don't know.
So I mean,
I kind of thought that Nas album was a reach. I mean, I dug it, man. But Grammy nod. I mean, they're gonna give him the Grammy nod anyway. But I thought the
Right.
Nas album was a bit of a reach, man.
what a reach that you're saying it wasn't a Grammy worthy album?
In my opinion. I mean, I think there were other albums that could have been in there, but it's exciting to see that brother finally get his recognition. But
Yep.
I don't know. I think there were other albums that could have easily like been in that place. But it was good to see. I mean, you know what I mean? Like I can't argue about it. But who gives a fuck about the Grammys? Any goddamn
That's kind of what I was saying with him when I saw it.
Well, I mean, I'm gonna say this: the Nas project to me, I hear what you're saying. Maybe it was like, and that's like a lot of talk I've been seeing too online. Like people are saying, like it's almost like they owe Nas a nod, so they gave Nas a nod or whatever, right? So to me, that project I think was very nice, especially at this age in the game to where Nas is front to back though. You know, he mixed the classic with the new, and I think he did it very authentically. It wasn't like it didn't seem forced. Like this was the first. The whole question about Nas and his beat selection, and he was like, "Yo, I'm going all Hit Boy this time." So I mean, even taking that risk and stepping out on that leap of faith and taking a new approach, I think that was dope. And like again, like I mean, I think we talked about like how people gonna say like, "Oh, Nas didn't pick even all the best Hit Boy beats because he got a bad ear or whatever." But again, like I think bringing the new and the classic together. I mean, this guy had the Firm. He had ASAP Ferg. He had Fivio. He had Lil Durk, Big Sean, Anderson .Paak, Charlie Wilson. I mean, that was a pretty diverse list of features too, to go along with like him going all like Hit Boy and not like in his typical Salam Remy, that like his
Right.
his traditional lane, right? Like so. I
The
mean,
sleepy beats.
the sleepy beats, right? Like so, I think like I mean, I love that. I'm biased, obviously. Like I love that Nas album. I think The Cure was one of the best songs of the year, and I mean, I'm glad to see him get nominated, but at the same time, Freddie Gibbs and Royce had equally, if not, like you said, Aubrey, better all around albums, right? Like, I think those two albums definitely got to be in the conversation when we talking about who's going to win that category.
Yeah, I think so, man. I think we got to think about like who breaking ground, man. Who's doing something different that we ain't never heard before. You know what I'm saying? Like, and I think Nas. I'm glad Nas went to the young producer and really got his groove on with that cat. But I just think there's something that is to be said for Alchemist and Freddie Gibbs. You know what I mean? I think there's something for that. I think there's also something for man. It's a lot of cats, man. Actually, when I start thinking back, like, what was some of the albums we was talking about when we first started thinking about like who was like really killing it this year, man? Like,
See the
I would
Griselda
say like
We
niggas.
talked about all the
Griselda.
Griselda joints, the Stream of Thought, The new Black
Yeah,
Thought album.
The
We talked
rhymes.
about the Allegory, the Royce album.
yeah.
Yeah.
I can't really go too much further than Griselda, man. Like they ain't gonna never get that nod, but not for Grammys. But I think they should. But that's gonna be a
I
long
think
time
that was a
coming.
miss. I think that was a miss by the Grammys.
If they were, especially if they were trying to go that route.
Oh shit! Run the Jewels didn't even get
Run the
nominated.
Jewels, yeah, didn't even get nominated. Didn't get nominated. I mean,
The baby,
even
the
though
baby had a crazy year.
he
Yeah,
did, he
the
did,
baby though.
little baby too, and I think even
All the
that,
babies.
yeah, right. I
Oh,
think, and
shout out to Jay Electronica. That's nuts. They put that brother in there.
but you know what? As much as we enjoyed that album, I think that is an album that could have got that could have got replaced by like one of those other albums you just mentioned. Uh,
Yeah,
I think it could have. And sidebar real quick, we're talking about
that was
Black Thought,
that was a
and
that was a favor for Jay Z.
I
Trust me.
was, I promise you, I just didn't feel like cutting Tony off and saying, but I was
yeah,
literally saying that same thing because Hove had the 40% on the joint. You know what I mean?
Yep.
it's not even a J Elect solo album. It's a
Hove and Jay project.
100%. I mean, the first bars you hear on that entire project are J Z, not Elect. Like
Right.
the very first bars on his own project is Jay Z. So. I think that says a lot. But sidebar, real quick, I want to talk about this just real quick. That new Toby joint with Black Thought and Royce, right?
Oh, that shit banging.
Yo, that shit is crazy. Toby is just like what he's doing right now. That whole movement is crazy. Like it's
It's like
so
him, his wife, and his
powerful.
kids.
Yeah, like it's a family thing. And it's just so the visuals, the vocals, everything about it is just sharp and powerful. Like
Didn't he just do like a joint for like, and hopefully I'm not putting my foot in my mouth, but like an Apple commercial or something too, or one of them commercials they just
He
got
did.
him.
Yeah, he did the Beats by Dre joint. He did the voiceover on it.
that's
Andre,
right.
yeah, yeah,
Yeah. The Bubba Wallace joint, right?
yeah.
Yeah.
No, I don't know if it was the Bubba Wallace. I can't recall, but
Yeah,
it was
no,
definitely
Bubba Wallace opened the spot up. Remember, he's sitting
right.
outside the
Oh,
car.
gotcha.
Outside
Yeah,
with-
yeah.
Yep.
That's right. No, so shout out to Toby and them. All right.
It's polarizing in the right way, but you know, what I mean, it just forces you to hear everything because it's so clean.
It makes
you
you
know?
think. Like it's very thought provoking and the way it's shot just makes you watch. Like,
Stimulates
gotta
you in
watch.
that sense.
Yeah. And I just want to talk about this real quick because
We want to talk about everything real quick.
Royce and Black Thought are two of my all-time favorite MCs. Like all time.
And I think one of the actual things that we could probably agree, we all three said that a couple weeks ago when we were talking about the top MCs. That's probably one of the handful of things that we actually agreed on with including them dudes in there.
They got to be in there, right? And Tariq Trotter, this guy is obviously,
Double.
your brother. He is been a GOAT, right? Like no question. Like he's been so great for so long, and he keeps getting better with not just better, getting greater with time, right? So like
They're getting greater because he's always been dope, so he just keeps killing it, you know?
But that's what I'm saying. Like to be great when you were starting out and to keep getting greater, that's a feat that we don't see a lot of. We talked about that with people like M and other people like that. Like, not a lot of people can track the same way Black Thought is tracked, right? We keep just getting sharper, and I think Royce is in that been in that same vein, right? Like,
Yeah. And the
right.
raps aren't outdated, and it ain't just like same bullshit, and you know what I mean?
Yeah, Royce been holding his own on tracks with legends since '99, with Eminem on ciphers and shit, with Black Thought, with Prince, and he also too keeps getting better and greater with time, right? So the question I want to ask you guys is, I know, like we were saying, like obviously Black Thought is obviously already in that GOAT convo. We were saying Royce needs to be escalated, but like this, what like beyond just like escalating it to say like Royce needs to be involved in like the best rappers right now conversation. I'm even wondering if we need to say and I think we should, that Royce needs to be included in the greatest of all time conversation. Overall MCs. Now, I'm not saying he top 5 or whatever, but if we talking top 25, top 20
Top
MCs,
20.
Royce got to be in that conversation.
And he's if you were to put together a round robin or a tournament or whatever, 100%, and it should depend on who you put him up in. I mean, if you're just putting cats, I don't know what the metrics or whatever would be, but if you're putting cats in there, he could definitely take some of the top MCs out. I mean, if it was a such battle, for lack of a better word,
For lack of better, right. Yeah, I agree.
If it was boxing and you're or a Sweet 16 basketball or whatever, and you was like, yo, this is everybody. This is who's fighting who. Yeah, I would definitely be some. Royce I would put some money on that cat.
Yeah, you're really trying to get that smoke from Royce,
No.
But going back to what Aubrey was saying real quick, about maybe Nas not necessarily deserving the nod or whatever.
I didn't say he didn't deserve it. I just said that I think there were some other albums that definitely.
It was a payback. It was a give back. Instead of the Grammy, maybe they should have gave him the God MC of all time or something or whatever. But I guess
Man, you said give him the Lifetime Achievement Award, man.
For being one of the greatest. though. No, I wasn't meaning it was the retiree of the year. I was just meaning was it truly a Grammy nominated album, or are you just more using that as a lifetime achievement thing and kind of dropping it in there? With the new work.
I mean, I wouldn't 100,000% think it was a Grammy nominated album, but I think also people 50 said, the Grammys got this shit 100% wrong and they out of touch because of who they nominated. And so I also can understand that side of the argument too, right? And I'm guessing, of course,
you still go to blackplanet.com though too, so.
I'm logging in with your login information though. I mean, you got that original password, original profile. No, but I think
real quick, man. When was the last time y'all been on Craigslist, man?
Not in a minute.
I know, right? That's kind of weird, man. I was just thinking about that. I'm sorry.
That you been what?
Craigslist.
I ain't been in a minute.
That's crazy, right? That's a thing of the past. Remember, cats used to go look for jobs on that motherfucker, housing and
Bears tickets, game tickets,
Bears
and shit.
Tickets?
Yeah.
Yeah, me too. That's a fact. That's crazy, man.
I found the Bears Connect on Craigslist probably 10 years ago, 12 years ago, and he was a season ticket holder or whatever, and that was where I was getting tickets for. I mean, I had 2 or 3 cats, but long story short, I met him on Craigslist, and when the first time I went and linked him to get just, hey, I wanted tickets for this Sunday, he was like, bro, I got season tickets and I can't go all the time. He's like, just keep my number. He's like, you'll be my first in line anytime you need them.
He probably touched your booty too. He probably let me touch your booty.
It was part of the ritual. Every time I go link him, I had to do a little routine. I had to wear special outfit to pick up my tickets.
That motherfucker's wild.
Nah, but to your point, Craigslist used to get that shit though. Right. Craigslist.
That is funny. Craigslist.
What about
that's
Tyson?
crazy.
Yeah. What about, speaking of the past, you had Tyson and Roy Jones, not the past, but still the current, but just 2 legends of the now. But, with that fight that was last week, what was it? What was that? Well, Snoop came out. Snoop obviously had the comment.
Did y'all order it? Did y'all see it or what?
Somebody dropped a link into my inbox,
I
in the
watched
middle of
it.
the evening.
Yeah.
And I was like, oh shit.
I think that came from.
Stop snitching, Aubrey.
Yeah. A different, not engineer, another Beto.
From From across seas.
Not humble. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Not
No,
that,
but I mean,
not that Beto. The other Beto, that's a sound engineer.
Oh, that nigga.
Beto said snitches against snitches.
Why is the audio getting messed up? Nah.
That was interesting though. I mean, it was definitely like, I think like when we first talked about it and we thought like this shit wasn't even gonna happen, it was because at that point it was still supposed to be like an actual fight, right?
No, bro, it wasn't happening. Roy Jones said he made a mistake, and then it definitely wasn't happening, and then it came back.
And then it came back. It came back.
And I
But
think
it
they
came back on a lot
modified
of
the rules.
situations. Yeah.
They came back and modified the rules.
The rules was like, Roy played a hand in them. Like it looked like he damn near wrote the rules. Like
He was like, "Let me get that Google Doc before we sign this shit."
yeah, man, he was like, hold up, let me see them rules real quick. Oh, let me just add a couple things. All right, but let's first start with Snoop's commentary before we get into the actual fights. I mean,
Well, before we
this
get into
man,
Snoop, before we jump into that, did you hear Snoop's launching that Fight Club though?
yes,
that's a good move.
But that's again maximizing that moment, right? Like Snoop maximized the shit out of this moment. This was that one shining moment for Snoop in terms of getting into that sports commentary lane, and that motherfucker
He hit it out the
nailed
park.
that shit. Yes.
Yeah, it ain't gonna be sanctioned though, right? It's not a sanctioned league, right? It's just like
I
probably
can't
gonna-
imagine. Yeah,
It's probably got to be like
it's gonna be.
I don't want to say
Celebrities.
like a big three. I mean, I might be like a big three type of deal. You know what I
might
mean?
be like
the
celebrity death match.
sort of
Yeah,
kind
it's
of
gonna be
right.
motherfuckers
Yeah,
like Nate Robinson and Jake Paul and shit. Like,
it's probably exactly that. The homies.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
yeah, he ain't gonna
No.
get no because you ain't. Why would if you were an actual fighter? Like, what fucking belt are you getting from Snoop's shit
League.
that matters, right? You know what I'm saying?
heavy belt.
Now it's unified. I got the WB, the WBC, and Snoop shit. Like, no one cares about that shit. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, but nah, man. I mean, his commentary. I mean, from front to back was just amazing, fucking phenomenal, and perfect. Like, I mean, it was just so like it was like he was in the studio ad libbing when like Pac was rapping or some shit. Like his rendition of "Precious Lord Take My Hand" after Nate Robinson got knocked down and got back up, and then while he was singing it, this motherfucker got knocked out. Like, and then he hit him with the "Oh Lord!" Like, yo, man, that shit.
It's almost like he had it scripted to go.
It was almost like but also like his voice was just so perfect, and it's just like his personality was just so perfect for those reactionary moments. It was the perfect combination. You know what I'm saying? Like like when Snoop was reacting to this shit in real time, he gonna say some funny shit, right? And then when Nate is falling fucking face first and doing these fucking face plants and shit, like every time he got knocked, I was like, bro, like, why are you in here if you're falling like that? But no, shout out to Snoop. I mean, when you talk about like you said, maximizing that moment.
Bro, shout out to Nate, man, because it take a lot to get in the ring, man, and actually get your face bashed in, and then get knocked out. Especially if you ain't never been knocked out and you don't know how that feel, man. That's some ballsy shit, man. Like you gotta respect homeboy and like his balls, his cojones on that, man. That's a big thing, man. Because Jake Paul's a fighter, man. Like he's not a professional fighter, but he does this.
He
For
trained.
homeboy to get in the ring, man, that was a big deal, bro.
No,
Yeah, no,
I mean, I don't think anyone was like. I think that's the thing that's getting lost in the shuffle because like everybody's a sideline commentator or whatever, right? Like
Everybody's not a WBF champion.
yeah, you know, no, I like. I can't. I'm not speaking for everybody. I'm speaking for me, who watched this and was laughing at the jokes, but also remembers Nate Robinson being 5'9" and being a 3-time NBA slam dunk champion. You know what I'm saying? So like, this guy can do what he fucking puts his mind to. You know what I'm saying? Like, so you're right. You know, you gotta salute this guy first and foremost for it, and give him all his fucking flowers for getting in that ring, and you don't know, like you don't know if this was like bucket list item for this cat, or like if this was a lifelong goal for him, and he got the opportunity, and he was like, "Yo, yeah, I'm gonna train for it. I'm gonna take it." So like you don't know that shit. I think the thing is like the training aspect. Like this motherfucker
Nate
look
goes
like
hard, bro. Nate goes hard on the training. I don't know if cats follow him on the IG tip, but Nate goes in just on training. Period.
no,
You
but
know what I mean?
that's not what I'm saying though. Like
No, I know.
like the training, he obviously goes hard. I don't think he had the right trainers for boxing.
Oh no, I'm agreeing with you. I'm definitely even if it wasn't the right trainers. I mean, it just might not have been the right time. But I'm just saying he definitely puts it into it.
He's
Back to what you-
athletic. Like that dude
And-
is not no bitch like people are trying to like portray him as because
he played like he's like college wide receiver and shit too. I mean, college played football and basketball. So I mean, it's not boxing, but as an athletic perspective, from an athletic perspective, he's beyond. I mean, he does shit like 6'5" cats couldn't do.
Yeah. I think what I was looking at from a boxing perspective though was like if you getting in a ring to like actually box somebody, like you said, Jake Paul is somewhat of a legitimate boxer, right? So like this motherfucker knows how to actually box. So if you get in a ring to box somebody, you got to get in the ring prepared. And Nate didn't look like he trained with the right people. He looked like he trained with MMA trainers more than anything.
I think that's what he generally does. I was going to say that too. I feel like he trains more, and obviously was boxing. I feel like that's not saying his background, but he might be on that. You know what I mean? More than a straight up boxing.
But to me, that's on him.
Yeah,
Because you got to switch your whole training regimen up. You could tell every time he was. You could tell he was going MMA versus like actual boxing because every time he was attacking and he was throwing the hands, then he would try to like lock up, like
he grab in, push off, kind of type of
and not lock up like boxing lock up. Like he was like trying to like pick this motherfucker up and drop him, like, and you obviously cannot do that in boxing. So that's where I thought like what I guess where I thought it was just like, bro, like you are you're a professional athlete. You're like you said, Rex, like you train on a regular basis. You're doing like MMA shit. You know you're getting in the ring for boxing specifically. Why at that point would you not specifically train on the boxing side? And maybe he did, but that's not what it looked like.
Right.
That's not what it looked like, man. Like Snoop said, one of the best quotables Snoop said from that night was, you can play basketball, you can play football, but it's two things you can't play. You can't play boxing, you can't play with this pimping, and that's for show. And that's fucking facts. You cannot play with no boxing shit, bro. This ain't, you don't have the option to be like, well, I can take him to the ground.
No. I think, I mean, and what cats fail to realize, it's like everybody, Mike Tyson says it, or I think he said, everybody got a plan until you get punched in your mouth. You know what I'm saying? And it's like, boxing is real, fighting is real, and like for you to, like the stamina is different. You can run like a marathon, play a basketball game, whatever, I mean, at a certain level. But if you've ever, if you've ever been in a fight or like trained for fights and shit like that, it's definite, not just like the winding of the breathing pattern, and the winding is way different than, all right, cool, I'm gonna do this. Now I'm gonna catch a breather. It's nonstop. You know what I'm saying?
It's totally different.
Yeah, it's a whole different fucking animal.
And again, like Aubrey said, props to Nate. I think if it would have been like an MMA style fight versus a boxing, match, then he could have actually got him. You know what I'm saying? Like, because he was attacking that way. But you're right. Like, it was what it was. You know what I'm saying? Like,
homeboy got boxed on top of his head though. That cat Nate. I told y'all before when this cat in middle school hit me on top of my head, man. That motherfucker knocked me out with that shit. That motherfucker hit me. Obviously, with that first one, he hit him on top of his dome piece in his soft spot.
In the soft spot where he tapped his temple.
That motherfucker in his soft spot knocked him down.
That's funny.
Yeah, Man, you want to knock somebody down, hit them on top of their head.
Or hit him in the temple, or hit him in the jaw.
Hit him on top of the head.
From like Mario Brothers.
Boop. So you thought, what about Mike and Roy Jones? Was that a draw?
Hell no.
Mike not beat his ass. Mike won though.
He did. And for those who don't know, Mike and Roy Jones Jr. are two of the greatest boxers.
Tony B, who don't know that this fight happened?
I had explained to my daughter. No, not explained, but I was telling my daughter, and she started Googling because we were watching it.
I mean, what the fuck are you talking about? These cats are 50 plus. Who don't know? The people that didn't see them fight. Like,
I don't think we have anybody that's like 13 listening to our shit.
I mean, the 20-year-olds or 20
they know who
35-year-old. They never saw Mike and Roy Jones fight. They ended that young.
That's not the case. That's not what we said.
Generation.
They knew that they fought though. They knew Mike Tyson was fighting.
It don't matter.
That was your question. What you talking about?
It don't matter if you didn't live through those eras. You're not gonna think he's the best fighter of all time versus somebody you've seen in your time.
No, that's a whole different question that you're talking about now. You just switch the whole subject matter up on it.
No, I didn't switch shit. You said that some of these cats. Everyone.
Hey,
this nigga getting lost.
yeah,
You said everybody would know him. You said everybody would know him. How are you gonna tell me the people that are younger than us that never saw Mike fight? That's the same way cats that talk about like.
Did you know who Muhammad Ali was? You ain't never seen Muhammad Ali fight, motherfucker. You know who Joe Louis was? You ain't never seen Joe Louis fight. What do you mean, man? I don't understand what you're saying, brother.
I'm saying that people that saw them fight in their primes are going to say differently. The people that saw Muhammad Ali and Joe Louis fight in their fucking primes are going to say something different than what we're going to see about Tyson and Roy Jones who fought in their primes. They're going to tell us that anything we're saying, like, oh, Tyson could have hung with Ali, they're going to say, get the fuck out of here. You guys are fucking crazy. The same way these cats that we're talking to now that are younger and seeing younger fighters, the MMA fighters and everything, they going to tell us, oh, these boxers can't fight these motherfuckers.
You think Tyson could have hung with Ali?
I'm saying that was a conversation that happened back
I'm just asking you. I'm just asking.
I'm asking. I don't know if he could have offered the reach, but the reach is, I don't think so. The reach is too crazy. Ali was way bigger than Mike. And at the end of the day, I don't care how fast you are in that shit. That reach matters. Yeah. That reach matters.
And I feel, and I hate to say, I feel Ali can take a punch. I mean, Mike can take, one here and there, but Mike's not really used to getting hit.
Ali's whole thing was the rope and dope, right? He would take the punches. He would take the punches and let it ride, and I'm gonna get you.
Rope and dope was not Ali's thing. That was used for power punchers and people that he knew he had to tire out to take advantage of.
George Foreman type niggas.
Yeah, like that was used sparingly.
That was a strategy.
Yeah,
but that was his thing. It was strategy. Not everyone could do that. Not everyone could sit there and take punches.
That was not Ali's thing, though. You know what I'm saying? Like that was not his thing. He didn't.
It was an adjustment.
It was an adjustment for certain fighters, and it wasn't many fighters that he had to do that for. You don't see that too often.
When you talk about Ali, no one can do that. No one can do that.
But no, you can if you train for it. But if you think about like Ali Frazier, like that was
toe to toe.
That was toe to toe. Like they was dropping B's. That was ridiculous, bro. Like,
probably the greatest fight of all time.
Well, they had two of them. I think the second one was probably the better one. But yeah, I think them cats, man, they was when you can go toe to toe with a cat like Frazier, man, and you remember Frazier, man, that motherfucker.
Frazier was crazy. Yeah,
Frazier had a head like an 8-ball.
Man, the boxers, and I mean, I just remember seeing them.
His punches were crazy.
Yeah.
I mean,
gives us some fighters. Like you wouldn't want to take like a punch in one of them cats to your face.
But I guess that's the thing. Going back to like this Tyson Roy Jones fight, right? Like that's what we have like not now, but have historically said about Mike, right? Like you don't want to catch that you don't want to catch that one from Mike. You know what I'm saying? Like that combo. Yeah.
Cut the kidney to the back.
Yeah, you know. But it was also the same way. I don't know if you know. Of course, you guys remember when Roy was fighting too. Man, Roy was so tactical when he was throwing them punches. Like these were two very
science.
Yes. It was about it was a science, right? Like, and I felt bad about this too because these are two of my favorite fighters of all time, and I feel like Mike was definitely like the training videos we were seeing and everything. Like Mike was
Rex, you gotta relax.
You gotta relax, Rex. Like,
oh, right. Keep my fault. Keep going.
He was he was so I mean, you can tell Mike was also winded, but Roy at the end of every round with that bell ring, man.
He was like, "Thank God."
Yes. He was like, "Oh shit, I could chill for a couple of." I remember there was one round he was like, "Am I cut?" Like they're like the trainer telling you, "Oh, you cut. Let me get this." He was like, "Am I cut?" Like almost like, "Get me out of this shit." Yeah, man. Like
I feel Roy might have been low key. I don't want to say scared, but scared.
Yes. But and again, Roy's one of the all-time greats. But goddamn, if you get anybody in the world that's getting in the fucking ring with Mike, that's a scary moment, man. Like Evander keeps talking about like he want to go with Mike, and I'm like, bro, I don't know, right, man. I don't know.
Evander, you might just want to say the preaching right now.
But the last thing I want to say about this is like I thought it was also very interesting too that this fight was. I think this was the first fight event we've seen, like major event like this, that was sponsored by a cannabis company, right? Like Weed Maps sponsored the fight. You know, shout out to Weed Maps family, shout out to Seth, Nikki, and the gang. But that's just dope, like to see like that a cannabis brand is getting a sponsorship on this big a level. Like again, it's not like the fucking.
And it wasn't a sanctioned fight. No.
Yeah.
But still,
you do know weed is legal in the majority of states in America.
Yeah.
Where'd the fight come from again? It wasn't in Vegas. It was like in.
I thought it was in LA.
Was it LA?
Yeah, I thought it was LA.
I'm not sure. Maybe. But I mean, it was also on brand for this too, right? You know, Tyson smoke, Snoop smoke. It looked like
Roy smoke.
Jake Paul smoke.
Mike said he was high when he fought.
Yeah.
Mike said he smoked a joint before the game, before the fight.
You know what? Low key, I think that might could have actually been the reason why Roy didn't get his ass beat, though, right? Like
because Mike was calm,
right? Because I don't know if you guys saw this, but there were definitely points in the fight where Mike could have like full on bodied him,
and he said, "I'm gonna chill."
Yeah, and it looked like he was just kind of holding back and like, "I'm gonna throw this body."
I don't think Mike wanted to hurt dude though, man.
Like,
I feel that was part of it too.
He did. You could tell at the end when Jim Gray did the interview. I think Mike might have wanted to hurt Jim Gray more than
Roy.
You know what I'm saying?
With his comment, right?
Yeah, when he was like, "Yo, what about me? What about me, bro?" Yeah. But man, and I think at the end of the day too, with the way Mike handled it too, when they called it a draw. I mean, the next day they released the numbers, and I mean, there was no way that fucking fight was a draw, man. I mean, it was a wrap. So, I mean, shout out to Mike and shout out to Roy. Shout out to Nate Robinson. I don't know about Jake Paul, man. That guy's a little weird, man, but
hey,
I don't know. But speaking of letting shots fly, man, I think a couple weeks ago or something, we were talking about people freaking out about Biden if he won the election, what that was going to do for gun owners, and he's going to take our guns and da-da-da, right? And then y'all correct me if I'm wrong, and if I'm wrong, I'll say that shit next week. But I think, from what I remember, him and Kamala were both saying nah, Kim and Kamala were both saying nah, that's not what it necessarily is. we're not looking to take away people's guns, and kind of that like talking point usually here when that gets brought up, right? We're looking into this guy's proposed, and again, saying this is not like anything in action or anything. This is what they're proposing, right? Like we're looking at this shit, and this plan looks to ban manufacturing and selling of what they classify as the government classifies as quote unquote assault weapons, right? And then
Assault rifles, yeah.
yeah, and on top of the weapons, also any high capacity magazines, and on top of that, they're also looking to ban online sales of guns, parts, and ammunition. And to be clear, part of that is because like there's been this kind of do-it-yourself movement where you can basically create weapons, whether it's firearms, bombs, explosives, whatever, through buying parts online, and you can just put them together or whatever. Like buy them individually, whatever. Like so, I get
Ghost guns.
yeah, right. So I get that like concern or whatever, right? Like, but at the same time, like you got to look at this in totality, right? So the proposed plan would be if you own one of these firearms that they classify as assault weapons, or a high caliber magazine, you either got to sell them back through a buyback program, or you have to register each gun and each magazine, high caliber magazine, for $200 each. And this is on top of any like extra fees that could be incurred throughout that registration process, right? Like
On top of, right.
you know what I'm saying, right? So, and if you don't do this, you could either face 10 years in prison and a $10,000 fine, right?
Right.
Now, Rex, like we talked about this other day, like we don't see how this could possibly get
Passed.
bipartisan support at all, right? Like, but even still, and Aubrey, we were talking about this too. It's a drastic fucking plan, right? Like, and I think the crazy part about this is those numbers. You have to look at who that could potentially impact, right? That $200 fee, right? Like per weapon.
2,000.
No, it's 200.
Oh, okay, sorry.
200. But still, like,
No, 2,000 for the magazine. Let me pull it up, but keep going in the meantime.
so I mean, like, the question I wanted to ask you guys is like the crazy part about this is, we put aside the fact, like, the whole conversation of the people who we love guns versus the we don't like guns conversation. You look at it, at the end of the day, they're fucking gun owners that aren't necessarily gun enthusiasts or gun lovers, right? Like, they literally just got it for home protection, right? Or there's a threat,
right?
Like whatever it may be, right? So this would really have the biggest, impact on lower and middle class gun owners who are really at the end of the day with COVID and everything that's going on right now, that are struggling the most, right? Like financially, right? So
if you can't afford a gun, don't get a gun.
no, but Aubrey, that's not necessarily it's not just necessarily about who's buying guns right now. Like, what about like guns? Guns are basically
You don't have to buy a high power gun, bro.
No, but what if you had a gun passed down to you from your dad or from an uncle or from your godfather, and this was like a keepsake type thing? It was
and put it in the closet. Put it in the closet like everybody else did in the last 100 years.
You still got to pay a tax on it or sell it back.
The crazy thing.
How they gonna know you got it? How they gonna know you got it if your great grandfather gave it to you?
You didn't just go buy it.
I don't know.
They won't know.
So
They might not know, but if they find you with it, you are liable for these
The tax
penalties.
proposal, the tax proposal is crazy, but the crazier part about it is like, like AR at first is just like a slang term, like a fake descriptor as an assault rifle. You know what I mean? So there technically isn't a such thing as assault rifle. It's the AR. It's Armalite rifle, which is like the name of the brand, like the name of the family that makes that style of.
That makes it
of
stop. Yeah.
Yeah. So that's just like, first of all, there is no assault rifle. Like that's just code. And then the second part, like,
if
I don't have.
Hey, listen. If your grandfather or your great grandfather gave you a rifle,
They don't know where it is.
no, that like you ain't gonna be walking around with that. We're gonna take that. You ain't gonna take that motherfucker to the range or drive around.
Right.
With that rifle.
Well, I'm
That
repairing my.
motherfucker ain't been shot in 40 years.
No,
You can repair it.
but
I'm repairing my dad's right now as we speak, cleaning it up. But yeah, to your point though, the average cat. To your point, you're not just pulling it out and like, let me go do something with it. You know?
motherfucker, I'm not saying like if motherfuckers are like pulling out a musket from the fucking Revolutionary War and shit that somebody passed down to them. You know what I'm saying? Like, what if somebody gave you, like, say for example,
If somebody gave you it, they won't know. They won't know. There's zero chance of knowing.
And first of all, shit, nobody give you no gun. Somebody give you a gun, you take it, you an idiot.
Facts.
I'm not saying like
compliant.
again, I'm saying if this is like a family, like something like that, like where it's sentimental value or something attached to it.
You ain't got to register it.
A fucking musket.
My dad brought his military My dad brought his military rifle from England to the States, and that boy, he's got that boy from like 1960, 50, 60, and I guarantee you, Joe Biden don't know where he put that boy when he had it. You know what I mean, or whoever.
Right.
It's not. It's just there. You know what I mean?
So you're basically saying like this proposal doesn't matter at all.
Well, the proposal just sounds crazy because it technically doesn't make sense. You know what I mean? Like, I understand the aspect of where it's trying to go to, but like, first of all, who's gonna just be like, you can just buy like a magazine you can buy a magazine without even having a gun card, technically. You know what I mean? You buying the magazine is like you buying a pack of shoelaces. Nobody knows, like,
Right.
You know what I'm saying? It's not like it's not like you actually buying the firearm, you know?
Well, I guess that's the question. Like, how are they going to track this? Like,
You can't. You got to tell them, hey, I got 1,000 magazines in my bedroom. Let me send you $200,000.
but if you've purchased whatever they're classifying as these assault weapons in the and it's in the system,
It ain't.
does that give them probable cause to be like, oh, they could have the high? That's what I'm trying to figure out. Like, how
They won't.
how it connect?
They can't.
Yeah,
And
I
then
don't.
also,
Yeah, I don't know, man. I don't own guns. I don't believe in guns, so I have no idea, bro.
I've never had one in my life. You know, I mean, it's
I have
crazy.
no idea, bro.
But from what I see, though, it's like if you get certain joints in it, you can get them in 10, 20, 30 size magazines, right? So with that being said, if you, from what I read, if you buy them in compliant and then it's in your state, you technically have to buy a 10-round magazine in like Illinois, you know? So most people in Illinois probably don't have high capacity magazines, right? You know? So
I guess the question I'm trying to get, or the point I'm trying to get to here is if they start coming in and saying like everyone in like middle America has to turn in their high power their quote unquote assault rifles and their high cal mags, or they have to pay this tax, and so then you're going to look at it from two perspectives. You're going to look at it like, I can't afford to pay $1,000 because I have X amount of guns here, or you're going to say I'm going to pay this tax and keep it moving.
Anybody
Or
paying
you're
that
gonna say
tax.
fuck it. I'm just going to let it ride and see what happens, right?
Ain't nobody paying that damn tax.
Well,
you know?
bro, that's the thing. Like what I'm saying is like you got it's a class issue, right? Like this impacts people from the lower and middle class differently than it impacts people from the the upper class because
Bro, it affects everybody. I mean, it impacts definite that because you had to come out of the funds, but it's like shit. Everybody's still got to pay theoretically. Go ahead.
no, I
But
mean,
ain't no tax on a machete. You better get your ass a machete and call it a day. A long ass machete.
In a slingshot.
Well, slingshot.
And tune them Nate Robinson hands up, you know.
man, get that machete.
Or get to work. If you gotta pay for it, you better get to work. Shit.
Yeah, but speaking of this whole need for protection and shit, that's something else we should talk about. Like a lot of big name artists and rappers right now been getting literally run up on and shot, attempted robberies, all this shit. And obviously we've lost some big artists to the shit recently, right? Like Nipsey, Pop Smoke, Ostentacion. But Texas, yeah, but Texas, man. Texas has been really wild lately with it, man. Like,
they try to get your boy Boosie last week or this week.
Yeah, man, they try to get Boosie in Dallas, and it was like 3 rappers who got shot, including Boosie. They killed his homie Mo3 out there, and then RIP, and then they also shot another rapper that I think they said is also a dentist. Coming out of their damn dentist's office, bro. Like,
oh, right. Yeah, right. Not laughing, but yeah.
This shit's crazy. And then Boosie came down there, and I think after the fact that they got at Boosie. Benny got shot in an attempted robbery at fucking Walmart, bro, in Houston.
Damn, I didn't even realize it was at Walmart, G.
At Walmart. They said a whip pulled up on him, and cats jumped out, tried to rob him. Shot
That's
him.
crazy. He shot in the back of the head or the face. Yeah, that's crazy. But anyway, yeah.
Crazy, man. Like, so, I mean, now we got, King Von got killed, like you said, Rex, in Atlanta. And we were just talking about, this week, we were talking about, Lil Baby strapped up in Houston, and people were like saying, like, oh, look, why you got a strap? Motherfucker, why don't you have a strap? Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, I mean, this is what I want to ask you guys about. And this is a heavy conversation, Britt. Like, rappers that rolled with security, for a long time, like, that was kind of like, depending on how you were moving and how you were acting, that was kind of frowned upon, right? Like, that goes back to, the 90s, but like all the way to now when like whole ass Tekashi 6ix9ine was in the side talking about he was on O Block, but he had fucking security all around him outside of the video or whatever, right? Like, I mean, at this point, a lot of rappers be catching these gun charges too because they're not carrying legally.
Legal shit. Yeah, that's the problem. You can get from what I hear, you can get 2-3 gun permits.
Welcome to the Tony B Show.
And you can fuck around and carry that boy in 40 states.
Aubrey, just because you ain't talking over there, I mean.
Shit.
Nah, but
hello?
I mean, I think the shit is kind of it's fucked up because a lot of these cats can't carry legally, right? So you've got that factor, right? Too. So you have security, you do that, but then there's all those X factors from the streets and everything too. But I just think at this point if you can afford the security, you gotta keep that security with you, man. Because people aren't just doing this shit over beef anymore. It's over clout.
It's a clout situation too, right?
Yeah.
Man, why y'all think Fat Albert never had a cereal?
Catchwells, that was before the time, though.
Nah, it was a lot of cereals, man. Like Fat Albert should have had a cereal, bro.
Man, I feel like with the colorway, yeah, they took.
Yeah, with the Mudfoot toy or some shit like that, man. They
Man,
never
Yo,
gave Fat Albert cereal, man.
speaking of Fat
I
Albert,
mean, I'm pretty sure we can figure out why they didn't give Fat Albert a cereal
That's
at
what
that time. Like, I don't think too many people in the black community were getting major deals like
let
like a
alone make
General
Fat Albert.
Mills joint. Like, yeah,
Yo, speaking of it's random that Cosby tie comes up every week, but I didn't get a chance to read the whole thing, but it looks like they might be retrying him. Said there might be like a mistrial or some shit that he might be. Again, I don't want to get ahead of myself because I haven't read the full thing, but based off of what I was seeing, that they discovered some misinformation and he might be getting retried and potentially get out early.
Free to Cosby.
Man,
Aubrey gonna try to get him on the show.
we're supposed to, so we'll see.
Yeah, right. That motherfucker ain't come nowhere near us.
Motherfucker, who else gonna put him on?
What do you mean? It's Bill Cosby, bro. He can go anywhere in the world, man. What are you talking about?
He'd be like, man, yeah, I'll do this show.
So he probably know Tony B.
He said he know Aubrey.
Man,
He got I'm sure he got a Sri Lankan slave somewhere.
this nigga crazy.
A Sri Lankan slave, really?
Hell yeah, Bill Cosby. He definitely got some land in Sri Lanka.
Yeah. He ain't got shit in Sri Lanka. Motherfucker getting shot in Sri Lanka.
Oh, hey, shout out to my guy, man. I talked to my guy Snap tonight. I told him I was working with a cat that was Sri Lankan. He was like, man, tell that nigga, man, my niece is Sri Lankan and she married the Juicy J. I was like,
I don't believe that, bro.
no, that's real spit though.
I'm gonna need validation.
No, look it up, nigga. I mean, it's real spit. She from Milwaukee too.
Hilarious.
I didn't know those Sri Lankans was in Milwaukee. I mean, they just probably call them. They probably think they're Indian or Arab or some shit.
The Arab.
Start running down the list of racial slurs, Aubrey. Let's go
He
through
said,
them.
No, I didn't. I said Sri Lanka.
He said Arab. He didn't say anything negative.
I didn't say nothing negative.
He didn't even say no slags.
You know where he was going. Shut the fuck up.
Hey,
I feel
so,
like I forgot to put minutes on that damn burner.
You remember hits from the street?
I was gonna say that, man. Like, let's give a shout out to who was gonna be on our burner today. Our guy Tanner from Milwaukee, who's a good dude, and he out there helping protect the streets in Milwaukee and trying to do the right thing. One of his people got shot tonight, and I know he at the hospital, so I want to send shouts outs and prayers to him and his family and his folks out there. Well, his people's out there holding it down. But hope that young lady, I think it was right. Rex.
Yeah, when he had called
the young lady that got
lady.
shot pulled through. So we ain't gonna have no burger tonight, but we definitely want to send a shout out to young Tanner in Milwaukee and his peoples out there.
But that's not to definite send the shouts. But it's ironically sad and crazy at the same time, because part of what he was coming to talk about is essentially what took place today, or earlier this afternoon or this evening. Just the whole, and as cliche as it may sound to stop the violence movement, but for really putting his skin in the game and really putting his mouth where that is, that's it's crazy, and here we were talking about it before, and that was kind of his platform, what he was going to talk about, man.
That's
30 minutes before tonight, he's like, fellas, I don't think I can make it. I'm on the way to the hospital dealing with this real in the field scenarios. Yeah.
No, shout out to the homie, and prayers to everyone involved in that, and we're praying for the best
And stop the violence.
situation.
Man,
Yeah.
Stop the violence.
I think that's really something that I'm going to pick up. Me and one of the partners, we're going to talk about, try to figure out this gun safety. Just shit's is crazy. You know what I mean?
Put your knuckles up and live another day.
Yeah.
Yeah. The other thing that was crazy is too, we talk about, unfortunately this just happened. We talk a lot about too, like, home protection and protecting our families, protecting our loved ones, protecting our communities, and that's just not just from a like actual like weapons protection or anything like that. That's just like something that's in us, right? Like that's just something that's like a personality trait that's built in you, right? Like and last week, was also 13 years since Sean Taylor was shot and killed in his home,
That's right. Yeah, true.
defending his family from armed robbers.
Remember your man Sean Taylor, Aubrey, from the Redskins.
Yeah, number 24. Yeah. He was.
Yeah,
21, 24,
yeah. Man, and like this story I remember when it happened, and man, I was just reading about it last week when the anniversary popped up, and it made me like just like sick, man. Like it's so sad. Like this guy was asleep with his girl and his 18-month-old daughter in Miami, and they heard noises. He woke up. Albert, you mentioned a machete. He grabbed a machete that he had in his bedroom because that was the first thing he knew to grab. That was right there. But by the time he, started moving, cats were already all the way in the crib and were at the bedroom door and shot him. And that's crazy, man. They fired 2 shots at him. One hit the femoral artery, and he died. I think it was the next day. And that was one of the hardest hitters ever in the backfield.
Right.
That was crazy. And I think a great way to close this episode is I got an interesting story for you that involves your team, that involves Sean Taylor. Santana Moss told a story last week, man, about how great Sean Taylor really was. Because I don't know people really, if you don't remember Sean Taylor, he died when he was 24. Like, this guy was on his way to being one of the greatest, if not the greatest safety of all time. And he told a story, Santana Moss, about a game in Green Bay in 2007 at Lambeau. And Aubrey, this quote I think is going to really resonate with you, so I'm going to just read this quote real quick. He said, Sean baited Brett Favre like 4 different times. No, listen. He said, throw that ball there and see if he gets it. Brett being Brett, a gunslinger, he went, okay, you going to leave that guy open? And Sean would take off and go after the ball. He dropped 2 of the picks. He ended up with 2, and he dropped 2. He could have had 4 that night. Brett spoke about the incredible talent at safety for us, and he couldn't believe that Sean was making those points. That when I was reading that, man, like I was like, man, I was looking at a way to take a shot at you and the Packers, but when I read that, I was just like, man, I think Aubrey actually like. That's some real shit, man. That's real recognizing real 2 of the greatest professional football players of all time facing off and respect. You know what I'm saying? Like, I think it's a good way to end the show.
Man, we still talking, man. Ain't nothing else to talk about, bro. I'm going home. I'm going home, get my girl. I'm going to bed. I'm tired of hearing you talk. I'll holler at y'all motherfuckers in the morning. Make sure how I log off this shit. How do I quit this shit? I'm ready to go to bed.
Man, get the fuck out of here.
You're not rocking with the motherfucking best.
Yo, you've been rocking with 3 Sides to a Story. Follow us on Instagram at 3 Sides to a Story, on Facebook at 3 Sides Podcast, on Twitter. Subscribe, tune in, and turn up on all podcast platforms.